believe Gandhi is more relevant today than ever.
Why?
Well, if you look around the world and you look at the amount of unnecessary suffering that is going on, the amount of suffering that human beings are inflicting on each other. If you look at some of the wars, if you look at the conditions that we have of haves and have-nots, right? The economic inequality that has increased dramatically in the last 50 years, actually. If you look at what we're doing to the planet, Gandhi was an environmentalist before most other people on this planet. He recognized we don't come into this world, we come out of this world. We are as much a part of nature as a tree or a bee. But we have separated ourselves to such a degree that we are destroying our own habitat. We're the only species ever on this planet that has destroyed its own habitat or is in the process of doing so. And so I think there's an urgency today to many of those messages. The inclusiveness message, that as I said, everybody matters, everybody needs to win. That was a big part of Gandhi's message. And we're seeing actually a movement in the other direction in the last 50 years where the income inequality has increased dramatically across the world. Right? And we're seeing, of course, the problems with the environment, we're seeing problems with conflict, we're seeing leaders who are in many ways the opposite of Gandhi. They are completely rooted.
That's why I'm asking about relevant, because given the fact that we see that most of the leaders who are successful, who we sort of look up to, not really the aggressive kind of people who are dynamic. Gandhi was not dynamic in that way. He was quite simple, placid, gentle. Do you think they're relevant to be able to succeed in the world?
Well, absolutely, because it comes back to how do you define success? If you define success as power and money, then you can call certain people successful. But if you define success as having a positive impact in the world and on the lives of other human beings, that's a very different metric. And many of the leaders that have been admired in the past, you talk about Jack Welch, for example, his legacy of creating financial shareholder value for a while, it didn't last. See, that kind of false wealth, it doesn't last because it was achieved through bad means, by squeezing people, damaging the environment, damaging communities, and so forth. So we used to admire those leaders, and now we're taking them off the pedestal. And we're saying a leader is somebody who takes people to a better place. A leader is somebody who has transcended the narrow self. That they're not just about what's in it for me, that I want to become a leader so I can use all these people to achieve my personal goals. That's not a leader, that's a tyrant. A tyrant uses other people to achieve their personal goals. A true leader is there to take people to a better place. So they've gone beyond the narrow self of just this me, but the collective self. We are all connected, we're all one, right? And they're interested in impacting the well-being of the people that they lead. And they're, in that sense, servant leaders. They have a degree of humility to them. They're completely focused on their values and the higher purpose, the noble purpose for which they become leaders. They don't seek leadership from a place of ego. They're not looking for power. They're not looking for wealth. They're not even looking for recognition. They're looking to make an impact, be a force for good in the world. Well, not in every one of the cases of the companies that you named. I think for some of them it might be a little different, or some of them over time. Unilever seems to be right now going back a little bit towards the shareholder value approach, whereas under Paul it was, and shareholder value is important as well. It is important, society doesn't function without corporate profits, right? Governments cannot create wealth, they can only tax and spend the wealth generated originally by a business, by a successful, viable business, right? And therefore it's socially irresponsible not to be profitable in my view, because that's required. But it matters how you make the money. Because you can make the money by squeezing people, squeezing your suppliers, damaging the environment, hurting your communities, stealing the future from your children. That's not worth anything. That is worth less than zero. That is not a business, that's a parasite, right? So when I talk about a successful business, a business that is doing good in some areas, but is causing harm in other areas, that is not what we're talking about. That's not what we need. We need a business where everybody matters and everybody thrives. All of your stakeholders, employees at every level, your communities, the families of your employees, the environment, right? Society in general, everything has to be positively impacted by your business.
Most companies say the client matters the most, and therefore the client matters the most and everything else falls into place. You don't agree with that?
I don't agree with that, because you can You can create a customer-obsessed company, which is a terrible place to work, where employees are burning out, where you're damaging the environment, you're destroying communities, etc. Right? All stakeholders matter, and you have to harmonize the interests of all of theirs, all of those stakeholders. So it has to be good for employees. It has to be good for customers. Certainly, you will not succeed in business if you don't have a strong value proposition for your customers. But over time, if you don't have happy and engaged employees, ultimately your ability to satisfy customers will also go away. So the fact is, these are all connected, and you have to do all of them. Right? All of the stakeholders have to be better off and flourish and be treated with respect and dignity in your system.